Hey everybody! We're going to explore chord melody arrangements in 5 different scenarios. And as we look at these, it's going to give us ways of exploring our own creativity within the context of beautiful songs. So let's get started. Before getting into it, I'd like to let you know about just a couple of things. My Foundations books are available in PDF form from my website. That is where I go through all this stuff in careful detail. And also, I have the full Labyrinth of Limitations course of learning that is on my Patreon. You can join us there where we have a ton of videos and PDFs that will walk you through all of this in a step-by-step way. We have a vibrant and supportive community with the Discord, and we have weekly Zoom classes. So I hope you'll check that out, and I hope to see you there. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. All right, let's start looking at chord melodies. For our first scenario, we are playing sustained notes, like in All the Things You Are. And we'll just take the first little bit where it has A flat in the melody and then D flat in the melody. And we're going to play F minor 7 and then B flat minor 7. But as Barry Harris people, we know that F minor 7 is A flat major 6. And that is in the A flat major 6 diminished scale. Barry Harris called it that because it has A flat major 6 and the diminished that resolves to it. People like to play drop 2s a lot on the guitar, but there are 9 voicings in my elevator system for navigating polyphony. And we can learn these floors of the elevator in little bits with musical examples as we develop our language. That's something that I teach on my Patreon quite a lot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play A flat major 6 going down the scale, okay? And then we'll just take the little notes in the middle there. Those are thirds. Okay, so what we can do is we can play A flat on top of those. I like that sound. We could be more rhythmic. Like that. But I like that rhapsodic sound for practicing too. You know, just a little bit of arpeggiating. You know, what works with your technique will be good enough. Just enjoy the sounds and explore them. Let's do the same thing for this D flat note in the melody. This is called oblique motion, when we hold a note and we move things around. I'm going to put up on the screen these chords. These are called shell chords within the scales of chords. This is the D flat major 6 diminished. It's made up of D flat major 6 and the diminished that resolves to it. So we can play it in all kinds of voicings as well. But we're just going to play these ones. And we can play the melody on top. All kinds of pretty sounds as we get to know floors of the elevator. But just those 2 examples, one with just thirds, and you can keep going with those thirds. Now I'm in D flat major 6, moving down a little bit more. Or you could just sustain this and then play these nice shell chords. And I play a little bit of E flat 7 or B flat minor 6, which is pretty there. So that's our first scenario. Now we're going to look at our second scenario with stepwise melodies. For our second scenario, we're looking at My Funny Valentine, which has this nice stepwise melody. And we can harmonize this using the C minor 6 diminished scale. It's called that because it has C minor 6 and the diminished that resolves to it. And we can practice different floors in my elevator system. So we'll play thirds, and then let's play triads. And then we'll play shell chords. And we can put these together for pretty lines. What if underneath that melody, I wanted to hear this? I could play a third, a triad, a shell, another shell, end up on a triad like that. What if I wanted to hear this? For a very dramatic bass line, I could play a shell chord, a third, and do some shells at the end. What if I wanted to hear something like this? I could start with a triad. Go to a shell, go back to another shell, go to a triad, and a third. So it creates this sound. So that's 3 options to practice for stepwise melodies on My Funny Valentine. Sometimes melodies skip from on chord to on chord note. We're going to practice the G flat major 6 diminished scale for something in body and soul. So we have G flat major 6 and the diminished that resolves to it. Those are the on and the off chords. Let's play the scale going on, off, on, and so on. Let's just play the on chords like that. That's basically the melody for body and soul. It says, why haven't you seen it? Like that, okay? So we're gonna just play that, but kind of broken down, nice and slow. And then let's fill in that space. Let's just do those chords in the bottom voices, just using these strings so that we can still play the melody on top, like this. And that's a pretty sound. Now we could just play the very top of that, so these little thirds. Still playing G flat major 6 diminished. Pretty sounds. We can really start to get rhythmic if we do that. So let's see. Really pretty stuff, just using oblique motion underneath sustained on chord notes for a little melody from body and soul. Sometimes a song has a little more dissonance to it, with a sustained note in the melody that kind of stands out against the harmony. Stella by Starlight is such a song, and it gives us some beautiful opportunities to practice borrowing from the neighbors. So borrowing from the neighbors is where we combine the on chord and the off chord for all these colors. Let's practice it in just little bits here. We're going to take E flat major 6, and it has this on chord and this off chord found within the E flat major 6 diminished scale. We're going to play a note from the off chord on top of this chord. We're going to play this F natural. Let's take G flat minor 6, which also has the same off chord. So we can play that borrowed note there. And then what we have is this, E flat major 6 with F on top. And then I just move the bottom 3 notes a little bit to get to G flat minor 6 underneath that note. Now we have the beginning of Stella by Starlight. We'll just play this melody by itself. We can even play the next little bit of the phrase if we know how to borrow just a little bit more. Our next chord will be A flat major 6, followed by B minor 6. Both of these scales of chords have this diminished within them. So there it is within the A flat major 6 diminished, and here it is within the B minor 6 diminished. And we really care about this note. This is the major 7th in relation to A flat major 6. So it's this beautiful sound found either beneath the root of A flat major 6 or above the 6. So I get to know these scales really well, not just by practicing the individual chords, but by blending them. And if I really get good at shell chords, which one instance of shell chords is the bottom end of these drop 2s, I can really move around. While playing the melody on top, it sounds a little bit like this. I'll just play this melody by itself. And then beautiful sounds found borrowing from the neighbors for a sustained note in the melody in Stella by Starlight. That's scenario 4. For our 5th and final scenario, we have a borrowed note in the melody that then moves into a stepwise melodic motion. like right here. So we're going to do this. This is from Stella by Starlight using F major 6 diminished. So that is F major 6 and the diminished that resolves to it. And we're going to practice this little melody in triads. And then we're going to borrow above the middle voice. We don't have to do this. It's just a beautiful sound that we get to do. And then we don't even have to give those borrowed notes back. And that's really great. That was with triads. Let's practice shell chords. These are high shells. So I'm going to borrow above those. And then maybe I'll just sustain those borrowings. And then we can also do low shells like this. And if I borrow above, those are beautiful sounds. Then we can just sustain those. It's just a great sound. It produces all kinds of beautiful sonorities by borrowing and really committing to it when moving through those chord melodies. These scales of chords are endless in their application. Every song that I play, I'm seeing in this way, and it reduces the amount of issues. So these 5 scenarios really capture a lot. We have those sustained notes from All the Things You Are, stepwise melodies from My Funny Valentine, then skipping melodies that go from encore to encore. Body and Soul has that. Then we have borrowed notes that are sustained over changes, and borrowed notes that move to stepwise melodies. And those are both found in Stella by Starlight for some nice examples to practice. I hope you found this fun and inspiring, and I hope you'll consider joining me over on my Patreon, where you can look at the PDF and really get into this a little bit deeper with our full curriculum. I want to thank everybody who's joined me on this channel thus far. We're just about to hit 15,000 subscribers, and that's really exciting. So there'll be more to come, and happy practicing on your chord melodies.